Hey guys, slowly but surely I'm doing a camper conversion on this 96 Ford E-350 club wagon, and it's got a bit of rust on the roof, but fortunately it's not too bad yet. It's not starting to leak water or rust on the inside, so that's definitely a plus. The thing I want to take care of first is these rain gutters, and as you can tell, the sealant in here is cracking, and that's not good because water can get down in there and start to rust things out if you let it go too long. But anyways, I'll show you guys how I'm gonna go about fixing it. All right guys, to start out, I'm gonna use a hammer and a scraper that I kind of customized a little bit to fit into the channel. And little by little, I'm gonna scrape all of the sealant out of this entire roof's water gutter. It's gonna take a while, but I think it'll be worth it. I got this side almost completely scraped out, and a real quick tip is if you're having trouble, you might just want to grind down an edge on that if you can. Makes it a little bit easier once it starts getting dull. Now I got the gist of that sealant all scraped out of here, but it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to use an angle grinder with one of those real thick braided steel wire wheels. And I found this to work a lot better than a simple wire wheel on a drill. I'm gonna try to get all of this down to bare metal as much as I possibly can. And it's okay if there's gonna be a little bit of rust left over because I'm gonna be using Eastwood Rust Encapsulator Platinum. But pretty much I want this to be bare metal and this inside lip where the paint and the sealant needs to attach to, and maybe even a little bit on the top and outside of this as well. Alright, so this is pretty much what I got, and it looks pretty good. Most all the rust is gone. There's a little bit down in there here and there, but the rust encapsulator paint will keep that from spreading. All of that stuff blasted out of the rain gutters, or at least as good as I can possibly get it. And it definitely takes a while, but I think it'll be worth it. Before I move to the next step, I want to go ahead and clean up the sealant below the rain gutters. And it's not really rusting bad, but it's cracking all along here, so I kind of want to reseal that. And you can see there's a few little rust spots here and there, and I'm just gonna kind of blast off just the little rust spots. Even if I pick at it with a screwdriver, stuff really doesn't come off of there, so I'm just gonna seal up over here with some 3M seam sealer and kind of scuff it up so it has something to attach to. I'll even do it on the inside of the doors as well. But it's pretty nice. There's not really any rust on here besides just a few little spots. And I'm not really that worried about getting stuff on the inside because I'm changing these seats and the carpet. So now I'm pretty much done with all the power tools. I got everything that I want wire wheeled, and now I'm just gonna use some 150 grit sandpaper. I got like a little pre-made block. Got that from Harbor Freight, and then just some regular sandpaper, and kind of just sand everything down. And then also sand the inside as well, especially on this inner edge, because I want the paint and the sealant to stick to that really well. And sand kind of where the paint starts to fade. Alright guys, we finally got it all nice and smooth. You sand it. Nice shiny metal in there. Everything's smooth. So I got this pancake compressor right there. We actually have a bigger one in the garage, but it's broken right now. But I'm just gonna blow everything out. Check that out as one clean water channel. But what we're gonna do now is use some lacquer thinner and some really clean rags and completely clean everything out so the paint will stick super well. And then I'm gonna do another pass with the air compressor just to kind of dry it all out and clean any lint or anything that got in there. Alright, so I pretty much got everything masked off that I want. I mainly just don't want to get paint on the windows. I don't really care about dropping it down on the actual finish because I'm going to be painting everything next spring. But I got it masked off right there and then on the inside a little bit. But yeah, I think we're ready to paint this thing. Also on the back I have a few little spots masked off because I went through the metal just a little bit and I don't want paint to be dripping out of those, so I just put some masking tape on there and I'll probably just fix that with a little bit of JB Weld after I paint it. I'm gonna mix this up for about a minute, and the paint I'm gonna be using is a Eastwood Rust Encapsulator Platinum, and this is a pint, so hopefully it's enough to do everything, but it's 3 times stronger than the original encapsulator, and you can apply it directly over surface rust, and you can also apply it over bare metal. And the reason I'm using this, because there's a little bit of a gap on certain areas. Right here, it's pretty small, but in the back, the gap is a lot wider, and there's a little bit of rust down in there. And the rust encapsulator should take care of any rust that's left. It's kind of just some extra insurance. And it kind of acts as a primer as well, and you can paint over it with pretty much any paint. It's also UV protectant because it's going to be sitting out here all winter. Also, this can withstand up to 1,500 hours of salt water spray, which is pretty cool. I'm just going to be brushing it on. I also got a little stir stick here, but anyways, let's go ahead and get this thing painted before that sun goes down. Also, I got some tack cloth, so pretty much I'm just gonna be cleaning it as I go, just to pick up any loose dirt or dust. I got the rain gutters completely coated with that rust encapsulator, and it had time to cure for about 48 hours, and then we got a little bit of a snow, and the weather was nice in that 48 hours, so hopefully it cured properly. But it's supposed to warm up today, so all this snow should melt, and then we can check it out and make sure everything's good. A cool thing about this paint is that it actually is moisture cured, so a little bit of moisture might actually help it cure properly, because we live in a really dry environment here in Colorado. So it's been quite a few days since I painted this, and we just got that little bit of snow, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So we'll do a little scratch test, and it doesn't come off at all. And if I use a metal screwdriver, it'll scratch a little bit, but it's definitely not flaking off, so I'm pretty happy with that. So that's really good. However, there are a few bubbles, like right here, and it kind of just flakes off. And that may have been where I put it on a bit too thick. I'm not 100% sure why that happened. I mean, I did get that snow 48 hours after I painted it. There's just a few little spots like that around here, so what I'm gonna do is go ahead and blast those spots back off with the wire wheel. All right, so what I did is scuff the entire paint surface up with a Scotch-Brite pad, because that's what it says to do in the instructions if you're reapplying any kind of paint over it. Blew it all out with compressed air again, and now I'm gonna try to clean it with lacquer thinner, but I wanna make sure it's not gonna do anything to the paint, so I'm just gonna test a spot. And that looks pretty good. And now I'll just re-clean the whole thing with lacquer thinner. I also went ahead and tack cloth the whole thing, and I'll also tack cloth it as I go. And instead of masking the whole thing off, I'm just gonna use a piece of cardboard with some tape on it, just move it around as I go. I mainly just don't want to get on the windows. So my first brush was pretty much completely ruined. I cleaned it really good with lacquer thinner, but it's rock hard. Like, it's crazy how hard this paint gets. And I think it's because there's aluminum flakes in the actual paint, which really gives it a lot of strength. I got the paint all mixed up. It's pretty nice weather, about almost 70 degrees out, and we're not supposed to be getting any precipitation anytime soon. Just want to make sure you follow the instructions and only paint between 40 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm not exactly sure why I got bubbles last time. It may be because the paint was a bit too thick. It says you're supposed to use a medium coat. I'm mostly concerned about getting the edges where the sealant is going to hold on to. Alright guys, it's had quite a few days to cure, and I'm not seeing any bubbles like I did before, so that's good. Seems super strong. For those little holes in the back, one right there, and let's see, where's the other one? Real small one right there. I'm just gonna mix up a little bit of JB Weld and fill those in. And I'll use a little bit of masking tape to keep it from dripping through. And I'm not too worried about it because I'm not gonna have any real weight on this back rain gutter. I'm definitely putting racks on the side, and those weren't really rusty at all. This is mostly just to keep any moisture out. I'm gonna tack it as I go. I got 3M seam sealer, and on the top, I'm just gonna put a small bead to seal those two pieces of metal that come together. And then I'm gonna use die-core completely on top. And then on the bottom, I'm just gonna completely fill it in with seam sealer. Hopefully one bottle will be enough. It is a little bit pricey, a lot more pricier than the die-core. I am using my respirator. This stuff probably isn't that good to breathe in. Well guys, I got the top inner part all sealed off, and I found that it's a little bit easier if you use a finger with a glove to kind of smooth it out instead of that little tool. We still have a ton left, and I made the opening a lot bigger, and now it's time to seal the under part. It just works best if you use a finger. Also, I did leave the doors open pretty much all night long, just so the seal on top of the doors wouldn't grab onto the fresh sealant. And it's been about 24 hours since the stuff in there, and it's pretty dry. And I'm just gonna use some tack cloth to get any dust or anything that's left on there. And I made a big opening in this stuff because I just wanna basically pour it in there. It looks like marshmallows. And I'm just gonna use my finger to kind of spread it in. Just want to make sure it's decently flat and there's no air bubbles or places for moisture to get trapped. This stuff is paintable also, by the way. Alright guys, it's been a while since I resealed everything, and there's a little bit of dirt in there. It needs to be cleaned up, but other than that, it looks pretty good. You know, the paint is peeling off or anything like that. So I'm pretty happy with it. We'll see how long it holds up. Definitely not sure if it's the proper way to do this, but I'm kind of the person that likes to try and find out. But next, I'm definitely gonna have to take care of the rust on the roof and use some Eastwood's rust and cap. So later, platinum on that as well. Definitely really like this stuff. It doesn't want to come off at all. And then, of course, this spring/summer, I'm going to be repainting the whole thing. But anyways, guys, I'll have a lot of videos coming on this van, and I will catch you later. Peace out.